Hey there everybody, Adam at XLaser here. Welcome to an episode of Q Builder, the series where we go from creating a queue from absolutely nothing to show you a little bit more about our Mercury control system and the kinds of interesting things that you can do with it that you might not expect. Today we're going to do something a little subtle, a little soft. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to go ahead and locate our fixture. And the goal with this is to create a like Firefly kind of effect. We want this smooth, sweeping motion of little tiny fireflies sort of glowing in and blinking out of existence. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and change my gobo. Choose something off of our points page. And I want to choose something that has a little bit of a random look to it. So those are all a bit too regular and geometric. Those are a little better, but I know I've got some sort of random ones down here towards the end. There we go. That's a nice random point pattern there. So I'm going to go with that. It's not quite as dense as I would like for our Firefly effect. So I'm going to go ahead and double it using a prism. There we go. And of course it looks super inorganic when I've just got it split as a prism. So I'm going to move them sort of into each other to create this field. There we go. So now they're sort of interlocking, and I'm going to rotate one facet of the prism so it's not just the exact same pattern left and right. Cool. Next I'm going to give it some movement. So the first thing I'm going to do is come over here to our first bank of wave oscillators. And I'm going to go ahead and have this one be before the prism. Give it a wavelength, give it an amplitude, give us a traverse speed, and then we're going to call it a linear sine wave. That is too much of a traverse speed. Pull it back a little bit. Increase our amplitude and our wavelength. And we've got this cool little field of waving through. But it still looks fairly, actually it looks pretty organic, but I'd like to break it up a little bit more. So I'm actually going to add a second wave to it. And I'm going to make this wave after the prism. It's also going to be a linear sine wave. Wavelength, amplitude, and speed. Slow it down a little. There we go, and now we've got this nice, super random looking movement. So what's the big thing that fireflies do? They blink in and out. So I'll go ahead and apply a color effect that's going to make it look like they're blinking in and out. So in my color effects, I'm going to apply a post color effect, so that happens after the prism. And I'm going to do radial bands. So radial bands, we'll put up a little picture here. So radial bands gives us these concentric rings of color, but it doesn't always have to be color. So what I'm going to do is in RGB1, I'm going to leave it as just full intensity white. And in RGB2, I'm going to leave it as white, but I'm going to just lower our intensity. And then in Geo Post, this is meant to be a fairly subtle thing, so it is pretty light. But in Geo Post, I'm going to lower this down a little bit so that you can see it a little better. So now if you look at the effect, you can see our fireflies just sort of going around seemingly randomly, winking in and out through brightness. Sometimes they get a little brighter, and they go back a little dimmer. Just sort of that winking kind of effect that gives us this organic firefly effect. This has been another episode of Q Builder. I hope you've enjoyed fireflies. If you made your own queues, go ahead and record a video and we'll send you free stuff. Just send it to us and let us know what kind of cool stuff you're making with your Mercury system.